I'm so excited. We got the return of possibly the GOAT, Jon Rones, as Brendan Schaub once said. No, Jon Jones is coming back, not Jon Rones. I guess before we get into it a little bit, last week's UFC card, not good. I mean, well, some of the fights were okay, but the main event ceased to exist during the card, and then I don't know. Brendan Allen did good in the main event, not trying to take away from him. Tatiana Suarez had a great comeback, but bigger things are in store. The UFC has a huge march, and we're going to talk about Jon Jones and this fight that he has at UFC 285 for the heavyweight title. This is his heavyweight debut against none other than Ciryl Gane, which is crazy to think about. Definitely taking on the best of the best, not getting his feet wet. He's just jumping right in. So I think we should talk a little bit first about Jon Jones's resume because people are talking about if he wins this fight, he might be the GOAT. Actually, first I'll start with that question. If he wins this fight against Ciryl Gane, do you think he solidifies himself as the greatest of all time?
Uh, I mean that's fair. I think it's fair to say it like right now, honestly. But I mean, definitely um, you could argue that the Stipe fight would have to happen first, but I think that would you know, for I guess especially a guy like Cyril Gane who such a transcendent heavyweight in his own right. He can if he can especially the 3 year layoff now coming back. Um, we're gonna talk more in depth about like the fight itself and stuff, but I think that's gonna affect like his speed out there. I think he's gonna look slower maybe to begin with at least, but cause yeah, if with these all that if you want to say working against Jon Jones, then I don't think anything works against Jon Jones. But if you want to say that, then yeah, if he can get it done, and then secure that heavyweight belt, then yeah, he's the he's the number one pound for pound of all time. I think that's definitely fair to say, but it's fair to I think I think there's a lot of avenues for it because I just said you could argue right now you could say he's the greatest, or you could say Stipe Miocic needs his respect as maybe not the greatest. Well,
Well,
I mean,
it's
if you're at the
tough.
heavyweight, yeah, if you're at the heavyweight division, then if you're the greatest, if you're arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time, then you're arguably the greatest, ever. Period. So,
Yeah, I just think I mean Stipe is definitely a name that he should get if he wants like the greatest heavyweight title. But in terms of just his body of work and
yeah,
like we were about to
yeah,
get
and
into,
that's what I'm
it's just
saying. I mean, you're taking on a guy like Cyril Gane, who's just, ha- ever since he burst onto the scene, just not your average heavyweight, and he's gotten to this point now, to earn this fight over with Jon Jones. He's been in there with Ngannou with his switch, something that Jon Jones can't say. He's done. So
see. I'm not. That's not John's fault though, and I'm
yeah,
not
I
like
don't know. I'm not trying to. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to. Put this. Not. Yeah, that is what it is. But it's just the facts I'm trying to put out there.
yeah.
So, um,
I don't know. I like Francis obviously, but I'm definitely not gonna diminish like anything that is gonna happen in the future with the heavyweight division and especially with Jon Jones's legacy already like has been solidified. I mean, he's 26 1-1. Technically should be 28-0 because the no contest is the one where he knocked out Daniel Cormier and then his one loss is a DQ against Matt Hamill like early in his career in a TKO win because he hit him with the 12-6 elbows, which are against the rules. Interesting rule, to be honest, to begin with. But then you look at like the rest of his resume, he's beaten the best of the best, and even people who didn't make it in the UFC per se, like, and then they ended up just doing well in other promotions. He's beaten so many guys. He beat Brandon Vera, who ended up being a champion and won. Ryan Bader, who's Bellator, I think, current heavyweight champion. Then, obviously, for the title in New Jersey, I think, beat Shogun Hua. Just honestly, like, to stop on that fight for a little bit, that is one of the most dominant like challenger obtaining like the title fights that I think I've ever seen. That one and maybe like Anderson versus Rich Franklin, but Shogun Hua looked like lost in there against Jon Jones, and Jon was like 22 at the time too.
yeah, that was. I guess you could say maybe like a passing of the torch. from
Yes.
Shogun to Jon Jones, now just dominating this generation. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And if you didn't believe it from that fight, then you have the rest of the guys from Shogun's generation who Jon Jones whooped.
yeah,
I mean,
Machida,
yeah, submitted Rampage, submitted Machida, like you said, beat Rashad Evans, submitted Vitor Belfort, destroyed Chael Sonnen in less than a round. Then obviously we have that great title fight versus Alexander Gustafsson where he didn't really go too hard in training camp. And he still like won, which is nuts. Just shows how good Jon Jones was really in
he
the midst
really
of his
has
prime.
like taken and defeated all comers just
Yes.
about.
And I'm only like halfway through his resume. Like,
Yeah,
we're not
I
even
mean,
on the
well,
modern
yeah,
era yet.
we haven't even gotten to the Dominic Reyes fight, which
I was
like,
just watching that before.
yeah,
Actually.
I mean, yeah, but what it says in the record books, Jon Jones is the winner, so that's what we go off of. Once again, we go off based off the facts, and that's what it is. And
even if you want to get like technical with it, like if you think he lost that fight, you could argue that the Matt Hamill loss is an illegitimate one. So if you think about it, that's karma.
It like cancels each other out.
Yeah, but like you said, I kind of want to just go with the facts just so people know it, like our opinions aside. But then after the Gustafsson fight beats Glover Teixeira, that was a unanimous decision win. I remember that fight because just all the cuts that Jon Jones opened. That was a weird fight because he didn't finish him, but that was just like a pillar to post just beating because he was hitting him with those elbows, cutting him up, and then he had that one move that he kept doing. He would get, it was like an overhook almost. He would like hyperextend Glover's arm and then hit him. Like Jon Jones's fight IQ, and I'm gonna definitely get into this when we talk about the fight that he has coming up against Cyril Gane. But his fight IQ is, I think, the best in UFC history. But then after that, beats Daniel Cormier, beats OSP. Then, obviously, during that is when all the legal troubles, the steroid trouble, like all that stuff came about. And then comes back, where is it? Oh, yeah, UFC 214. That's 2017. This is literally over a year after he beat OSP for the interim title. A whole weird thing happened with the light heavyweight division during that span. We could probably make a video just on that whole saga alone at some point. Maybe we should. But beats Daniel Cormier in their rematch head kick, but then he tests positive for like metabolites of a steroid, and so they make that a no contest. Takes even more time off, another year. And then this is like the more modern arc of Jon Jones. Defeats Gustafsson easily, pretty much. And then 3 decision wins over Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, and Dominic Reyes. And all amounts to 26-1-1. Crazy. When you read it out like that and you think about what his record is, it's amazing to think that. Like, he's fought only killers. And even before he was the champ, like I didn't even mention Stephan Bonner and guys like that, Andre Guzmão, just incredible. Matt Hamill even. But
goes a long way, especially for this fight, kind of just to revert back to, Cyril Gane and his, how he's been able to just bring this fresh and just like dangerous style to the heavyweight division. Like, this dude Jon Jones has seen it all, and I know, like, once again, like, it's, coming up the weight class, if you're going to say anything, to be against Jon Jones, whether it's the layoff or, fighting at heavyweight now, like, he's still one of the greatest we've ever seen. And once again, you could argue right now, and if you want to wait on it, then I guess we'll see. I don't know what, it's, you've said this, you've mentioned this before, but you said you're not gonna pick against Jon Jones like until you see him lose, and I feel it kind of just like piques my interest for what people are kind of expecting to see, maybe right away, like out the jump once the fight starts, or just throughout the entire way. If people are expecting him to, like we're gonna mention before, is he gonna look slower in there? Is he gonna reserve a little more and then just kind of just welcome Cyril Gane into whatever Cyril Gane's gonna do, and then just game plan off of that. Who knows?
I actually think on the feet that they're gonna have a fairly similar game plan, because like when I think about both of their styles and I watch their fights, they're big on they're not guys who are gonna like stop you with one punch. They're more of like an accumulation of strikes that leads to their finishes. So I feel like they're both going to start like with the legs to the body to the head. And I think that's both their strategies. The difference, though, is I think that Jon Jones is eventually going to try and wrestle him. And this fight, to me, like on the feet, I think it's fairly even because I think Gane is such a great striker, but I also think Jon Jones is so crafty and he's creative. Like he can hit you. One thing that I want to note that I think he should attack with Ciryl Gane should be step in elbows. Like when I look at Ciryl Gane's fights, he's good and he obviously moves around well, but he does keep his hands low. And if Jon can get in a close range and hit him with those step in elbows like he can do to some people, I think that could be a game changer in this fight. And then obviously you get into his wrestling. I think it's fair to assume like if Francis Ngannou can take Ciryl Gane down, unless Gane has gotten that much better, Jon Jones is definitely going to be able to take him down. And I think the real fight for Gane is what can you do from your back or can you get up? And I don't know. Like I think that's tough for him. I really do. Because Jon Jones, like you kind of mentioned.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I feel I don't have any, second doubts about Jon Jones being able to wear Ciryl Gane down. Can Ciryl Gane do it to Jon Jones? Because I don't think Ciryl Gane's be able to, if he can get Jon Jones down, I don't think he's going to be able to keep him there or lay on him. If it gets to a clinch situation against the cage, I think Jon Jones will be able to reverse that and just land, like you were mentioning, the elbows and all
with
that.
With that Greco background, too. He specializes in that upper body wrestling.
I think Ciryl Gane's really just going to have to, I think Ciryl Gane's going to have to be the one to, just force the pressure on first and early and then just control the center. And then I think he's going to want to stand up with Jon Jones pretty much. And then, just I guess point fight pretty much from there.
Yeah, Jon really can dictate where the fight goes, and he's so good. He's been so good at that throughout his career. Honestly,
and now it's but now we're at heavyweight, and now
3
years left.
I have a question for you actually, because I've been thinking about this, and I have my own thought process. Do you think that Jones is going to come in heavier than Gane? Because I feel like he is.
Yeah.
This has been years in the making. We got to think about that. He's had 3 years now to bulk up to where he's at. And he looks bigger.
Yeah, he definitely does look bigger. And I feel like definitely, I think so. Honestly, I guess I don't know. I kind of just want to wait till the weigh-ins pretty much. Let's see how both of them look on the scale. I mean, I don't see why anything would be wrong with for Ciryl Gane, but he's fighting Jon Jones now at heavyweight, so. I think I'm definitely looking forward to that, and that weigh-in's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, and back to the fight. The weights obviously matter because I think if Jon Jones comes in heavier, then we're really gonna see some wrestling, especially up against the cage. And it's interesting because both of these guys are good in the clinch with their elbows, but they each have different ways of going about it. Jones has good step-in elbows or the creative ones from the clinch, but then Gane. He has these ones that come from all angles, but plus Jon Jones, sometimes he loads up when he's throwing his two, and I think that Gane can definitely counter with a 1-2 or just a jab even, and who knows, the accumulation of that could do some damage, because now we have to think about it differently, because Jon Jones is at heavyweight, and same goes, he could have more power, but at the same time, he's going to get hit with more power.
Yeah, I don't think exactly, kind of right there, I don't think the power might just cancel each other out. I don't think it's really gonna prove to be I don't think you see anybody get knocked out. I don't even think you really see all that much blood either. I just think it's gonna be Ciryl Gane's technique versus Jon Jones straight up fight IQ, and then obviously Jon Jones
I picked his first fight IQ back. Against anybody.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
that dude knows how to win a fight. You were talking about the Dom Reyes fight before, and I was rewatching it, and you really see the turn in the middle of round 3. He makes adjustments like no other in the middle of the fight. And you know how hard that is when you're tired? This is what I'm saying. We can't hype up enough just how great Jon Jones is and how big this fight is, because the legacy thing, obviously, like you mentioned, he could be, you obviously think he has an argument to be the GOAT already. I do too. I personally have him at 2 just because of the whole steroid thing. But if he wins this and he becomes the heavyweight champion, I have no argument. That's the best, and his body of work would prove it.
You think about reach advantage too. I wonder. I'm not too familiar with. Yeah.
I'll look into it.
I think
that's
definitely gonna play its part too, the reach advantage.
So Jones is 84.5 inches, which is really crazy when you think about it. And Gane is 81. So even a heavyweight, Jon Jones has a reach advantage, which is kind of crazy. And he knows how to use it. Like, there's some people who have reach advantages but don't use it. Jon Jones is one of the main guys that I think of who actually know how to use their reach advantage.
Dude.
So.
This
Those
fight,
oblique kicks are gonna be coming, dude.
I think this fight's just gonna be an absolute MMA masterclass on both ends. I think you're gonna see everything and the kitchen sink thrown at each other. Maybe more on Cyril Gane's end, but because once again, Jon Jones' fight IQ, like, he can just adjust just like that, like you were just saying. So it's gonna be really hard for Cyril Gane to overwhelm Jon Jones. Like,
and can we just talk about Cyril Gane getting a fight like this at this point in his career? Like, Jon Jones isn't that much older, but he's had a whole he's doubled basically Cyril Gane's career and it's crazy because you think Jon Jones would be way older than him, but no, it's like the age gap isn't even that far. So I think that Cyril Gane is definitely has an uphill battle.
Yeah, and obviously Cyril Gane wasn't the first option, but for him to just the opportunities here, and it's just good to know that the UFC does really value him and see future world champion written all over him.
I liked how he tried to catch Jon Jones slipping. Did you see that? He said that he goes, I get lazy before until I get fight camps. And dude, what Jon said,
he called the bluff.
It's so true. Like, when you read that, because when I read that, I didn't believe it either. Did you?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, there's no way this guy's lazy. Like, look at him. He's like, Cyril Gane's jacked. And this dude's so quick and he's so light on his feet. He has the most insane movement I've ever seen for a heavyweight. And to think that guy's lazy, I was like, right.
It just goes back to if you want to talk about fight IQ, just the mental battle too. Just Jon Jones, man, he just doesn't think like everyone else pretty much, and that's just a huge part of why he is who he is. And then he just beats seemingly everybody he's across the cage from. So, and then that obviously plays into the probably the greatest fight IQ we've ever seen, like we were just talking about in UFC history, and why you don't see him crumble, you don't see him just wither, or and you probably he's still yet to have his first heavyweight fight, but you'll probably never see it, honestly. Cyril Gane's gonna have, and whoever else Jon Jones faces from now on is gonna have to earn every single bit of success they see against them.
Yeah, I think one way or another for Cyril Gane, this is going to be a learning experience, win or lose. He's definitely going to have some adversity against someone like Jon Jones. Like, you could factor in the layoff, but this is one of the greatest fighters of all time, if not the greatest, that we're talking about right now. So I think that this is going to be a really fun fight. I'm so happy that Jon Jones' heavyweight debut is finally here. And we'll be back probably next week talking about it.
I mean, and obviously, nobody wants to ever see Jon Jones ever. But after this fight, even I guess depending on how Cyril Gane looks, no one's gonna want to see Cyril Gane either, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. It really is. I think that both of these guys have great fight IQ, but Jon's
I think it's such a great blend of styles. I think you really could go either way, but. I mean, just to kind of stand on, I don't think you see anyone, I don't think you see anyone get knocked out. I don't even think it gets all that, bloody or that much of a war either. It's just going to just be, sequence to sequence, scramble to scramble, and then,
I think if Jon gets him to the ground, he shouldn't go for submissions. He should really hit him with that ground and pound, because if we've seen anything with MMA lately, it seems like damage definitely matters more now in judging.
The cardio is going to play a huge part.
I think both the guys are pretty good in that department. I mean, Jon, it's a little different because now he's a heavyweight, so now we have to wonder, but he's never shown that in the past. I think this is going to be, like you said, an MMA masterclass. But we'll see what happens. We can't wait for it. I'm sure you guys can't wait for it. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and we'll be back next week to talk about it.